Hi, how's it going? I'm all right. I've had a sort of slightly awkward week, but let's just get into it. So this week if we just go over this, you can see my attention was across a few different things compared to most weeks, and there's this weird new action streamer thing that's appeared. But just sort of doing it in order of time, we did the podcast recording on Friday. That went all right. And something I did do this week was finally sorted out this little lock-up in the top. It had this dodgy carousel for a while. But now you can see if it's on a small screen, it looks, it just looks a lot better than it did. So I spent some time on that this week. So then I made a few more videos. I've done a couple. I did a Selling Your Clutter one, and I did, which essentially sort of references Marie Kondo and boasts about how much gear I sold through Dungood, or just by sort of organising it and, stuff I meant to sell, sold it using Dungood. And then also showed like the power user use case of like if you've got tons and tons of stuff, i.e. this screen that I keep showing you. And if we keep going, we'll see, I did the update. I helped my dad with his website a bit. And then the New Changes website, which if I just go to good to, I'm really sorry, changes. I'm really trying to stop that happening. I can't type. But I had a bit of a call with Ian, and the upshot was, okay, I decided to just like mark up all the stuff that I wasn't quite sure about the design for yet. And then as a result of that, I was able to sort of throw various bits of temporary content in to this website. So if you're a developer, you're not used to, it's unusual for the developer to be also the content maker. So it was a bit weird that, I'm writing the code as well as writing the content. So in some ways it's easier for me to chuck in some temporary content into a finished looking template. So that sort of caused some confusion, but ultimately it resulted in Ian's ability to give me some new designs, which look pretty cool. So we've got a new lockup for repeat. We've got my book thing heroed, and then we've got some like about us stuff down the bottom. So we're getting there. We're what is it? Like 6 hours over my 20-hour budget already for this, and there's things like I've got to research other apps properly if I'm going to make this this comparison table work, for example. So I was looking at maybe enlisting the help of Quantified Self or whatever. But yeah, it's like I need to just get this in there. There's still a bit too much placeholder in, but it's just sort of it's going to start blocking the ability to do any marketing. Next, I so on Saturday I did this workout mix stream, which was sounding all right. We had the different views of the content of different camera angles, but what ended up coming out of this, I have to say, it just kept stopping on this camera angle, and half the time I wasn't on that camera, and I got this idea in my head because I also reached out to a guy that does Ecamm live YouTube videos this week, and he got back to me and said, do you want to come on the stream? So I was thinking about Ecamm, and I was thinking about streaming software, and I thought, like, can I just build my own like live streaming, something that just detects what camera feed has action on it of the multiple cameras and just switches to that camera so that you don't keep seeing like an empty camera. And I thought, there's got to be libraries for doing this, and I did actually make a decent amount of progress on this. So I managed to sort of bootstrap a little app that uses this Hyshin Kit library to stream to YouTube, and then I did manage to get it to connect to Syphon as well. So this is a Syphon connection from a camera, but like all my feeds tend to come through Syphon. So I just ended up spending an awful lot of time trying to figure out how to you can stream the footage between apps, but it's actually really hard to then grab that footage and process it and detect whether there's someone in there or throw it into a stream. So that ended up being like 10 hours at least, I think, if we add in, I think some admin time was that as well. So probably about 10, 12 hours this week I've spent just banging my head against really slightly horrible like OpenGL code that I don't really understand, that's all deprecated, and trying to figure out, just basically failing to figure out how to create a buffer and process it in any useful, meaningful way. So it was a mildly frustrating week in that sense, but I'm also very lucky to be able to just spend a whole day just trying to work something like this out on a slightly whimsical thing. Now, I did even like tweet with the guy that made the library and made the apps, and so I got some vague sort of support. Not going to read your code, but he did say like an IO surface back textures can't be directed to be downloaded. So he sort of gave me some advice, but it's still like I'm confused. If anyone knows OpenGL stuff and has done it on Mac, feel free to let me know. I'd love to get someone else to look at this. Finally, the last thing I've done today is because, my podcast co-host has got COVID, so she's not able to do a recording this week. But I wanted to do a leaving the laptop. I got this email from someone on YouTube this message on YouTube saying, like, can you, like this hardware hacking of these Eurorack modules, I'm really interested in learning about it. And I was like, it's time I made a YouTube video about this. And so today I spent a while trying to figure out how to sort of demonstrate a sort of fresh build environment and without like ruining my build environment on this laptop, because it takes quite a lot to set up a build environment. And that's kind of the scary part, because once you've done that, I'm showing you the video that I captured because I was able to successfully capture the process of doing it. I tried sort of creating a second user on my laptop and stuff, but it's still all referencing stuff that's outside the user directory. So in the end, I just used an old laptop. I actually used this one for streaming. It is listed for sale, but in a way, I was worried I'd end up buying something like Mac Mini or something. So I've been holding onto this laptop unless someone gives me like more money for it than is probably reasonable to expect. But and again, so I was able to capture some video footage of setting up this Eurorack module. Just to let you know what that is, there's one of these things here. If I make that a bit bigger. One of these things here is open source. Well, actually, two of them. The code for it is open source, so you can. And I managed to sort of put my own code into this drum machine thing. And lots of people are interested in that, but it's quite hard to explain how to do it. So that's something I've been working on. I do have a video on my YouTube channel from a while ago showing sort of like in high level terms how it's done, but like I haven't really done a step-by-step guide. Anyway, I think that all. Oh, right. And the only other thing I will show you is I did do a little bit of work on Shoot. So let me, but I'll just explain some of the problems. So with Shoot, if you can see it, I want to add manual control. So this is like a manual brightness, and this is a manual focus control on the front-facing camera. If we look at me from. We can see like, I've added in that manual control. But the only thing is, it opens up quite a lot of complexity because I have to figure out how to avoid, like I can't autofocus unless someone wants to. Like if someone doesn't want to manually focus, then these interfere unless I figure out the logic for whether or not it uses them. This is I'm just going to come back to this camera. So I want to add these manual controls for all the cameras, but again, it's slightly more complicated than you might expect. So that's something I've got to figure out. And as well, like connecting the microphone to the AirPlay feed is not that straightforward either. So I'm sort of trying to solve a lot of sort of difficult technical problems this week, I suppose. And it's going okay, but a little bit discouraging here and there. But I think it's good. I'll figure it out in the end. Anyway, I'm hoping to finish off the New Changes website by next week. Anyway, and so that's kind of my main milestone. So I'll check in with you next week on that. And otherwise, I just hope you're staying safe in this lockdown here again. I hope everything's good with you. Feel free to say hi, because I don't think anyone watches these. So if you do, just say hi, and I'll be excited. And just have a good weekend. I'll see you next week.